Sometimes the hardest truths to face are the ones happening right in front of us. And when it comes to love, intimacy, and emotional connection, one of the most painful realizations is discovering that you might be getting used in a relationship. Maybe you felt it, that tug in your chest, that mismatch between what you give and what you receive, the confusion that makes you question your worth or your instincts. So today, we're diving deep into the psychology, the emotional intelligence, and the real life signs that you might be giving far more than someone is giving back. And yes, we're talking about the real signs you're being used in a relationship and what you can do to reclaim your power. I'm the intimacy doctor, real talk, real science, real intimacy, and we're going to walk through this together with clarity, compassion, and courage. Before we go further, take a moment and think about the last time you felt unsure about the intentions of someone close to you. Was there a moment where you felt small, unimportant, or like your needs were secondary? If something comes to mind, stay with me. This conversation is not about blaming yourself, but about understanding relationship patterns, communication issues, and emotional dynamics that often go unnoticed. And if any part of this resonates, hit that like button so more people can find videos like this and learn what healthy connection truly looks like. Now, one of the clearest emotional signs that you may be getting used is when the relationship feels transactional instead of mutual. In emotionally healthy partnerships, intimacy and connection are built on reciprocity, not in a perfectly balanced minute-by-minute way, but in a general flow of give and take. When a relationship shifts into a dynamic where you're constantly giving, adjusting, supporting, or sacrificing, while the other person takes without genuine appreciation or effort, your nervous system feels it long before your mind admits it. Behavioral researchers describe this as a one-directional investment pattern, where one partner's emotional labor, time, or resources are consumed but not replenished. This pattern is linked to burnout, resentment, and a deep loss of self-worth. If you've been carrying the emotional weight of the partnership while the other person enjoys the benefits, ask yourself, am I being appreciated, or am I being used for what I provide? And what do you think? Have you ever felt that imbalance in a past relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments because your story might help someone else find clarity. Another major sign you're being used is when communication feels inconsistent, unreliable, or conveniently timed. Someone who truly values you and the emotional intimacy you bring will communicate with intention. They will check in, respond honestly, and stay connected even when they're busy. But someone who's using you will often communicate only when they need something: validation, attention, money, comfort, a favor, a distraction from boredom, or the feeling of power that comes from knowing you'll always respond. Psychologists refer to this as instrumental communication, meaning the person reaches out to fulfill a need rather than to build connection. You might notice enthusiastic messages when they want something, then silence when you express your own needs. You might notice they only show up late at night, or when they're feeling lonely, or when they're stressed, not to support you, but to use you as an emotional sponge. Healthy communication builds trust, but opportunistic communication erodes it. And if you've been on the receiving end of inconsistent effort, ask yourself, when they text or call, is it about me, or is it about what I can do for them? Now, another deeply painful sign that you're being used is emotional neglect, disguised as independence. You might hear phrases like, I'm just not good with emotions, or I'm really busy, or that's just how I am, whenever you ask for more closeness, more communication, or more emotional presence. And while it's true that everyone has different emotional styles, someone who is invested in you will meet you halfway, even if it's not easy for them. But someone who is using you will often weaponize their avoidance. They will enjoy the parts of the relationship that benefit them, such as your support, your affection, your care, but when it's time to show up for your needs, they shut down, disappear, or dismiss your feelings as too much. Emotionally intelligent relationships require responsiveness, not perfection, but a willingness to try. So if you constantly feel like you're begging for time, affection, reassurance, or clarity, while they treat your needs as optional, that's not independence. That's emotional extraction without emotional reciprocity. Let me ask you something. When was the last time this person showed genuine curiosity about your life? Your dreams, your stress, your mental health, your boundaries. If you're drawing a blank, that's a sign worth paying attention to. Now let's talk about another red flag, conditional intimacy. Conditional intimacy is when closeness, affection, or attention only happens when it benefits the other person. Maybe they're warm and sweet when they want something from you, but cold or distant when you need emotional support. Maybe they praise you when you give in, but criticize you when you set boundaries. This dynamic creates a psychological pattern known as intermittent reinforcement, which is actually the same pattern studied in behavioral psychology that creates some of the strongest emotional bonds, not because the relationship is healthy, but because the unpredictability keeps you chasing the next moment of closeness. Your brain starts linking love with inconsistency, and that makes it even harder to walk away from someone who is using you. This is not your fault. This is how the human nervous system works, but recognizing this pattern is one of the most powerful steps toward emotional freedom. And here's another sign: your self-esteem gets lower the longer you stay. People who use others often protect their access to resources, emotional, financial, or time-based, by keeping the other person insecure. This might show up as subtle criticism, small jabs, comparison to others, or lack of acknowledgement. They might not outright insult you, but they keep you in a place where you feel like you're not enough, so that you keep trying harder to earn their affection. Psychologists call this depletion-based attachment, where the more effort you give, the less valued you feel. In a healthy partnership, you grow, you feel seen, you feel supported, you become more yourself. But when you're being used, you slowly shrink. You doubt your worth, you silence your needs, you abandon your boundaries, and if you've ever felt yourself becoming smaller just to keep someone else close, please know this: that is not love. And you deserve more. Another subtle but powerful sign is that the future always feels vague or on hold, unless the future benefits them. Someone who is using you might avoid labeling the relationship, avoid serious conversations, avoid commitment, avoid planning, or avoid defining where things are going. But when the future includes something they want, convenience, help, stability, suddenly they're open to discussing it. If the only time someone sees the relationship as valuable is when it serves them, that is not a partnership. That is a pattern of extraction. Healthy relationships have clarity, communication, and shared vision. Not perfect certainty, but mutual transparency. If you feel confused all the time, that confusion is information. Now take a breath, let your shoulders drop, let your body feel the truth of these patterns. This isn't about judging yourself. It's about becoming aware, because awareness is how you protect your emotional health, your trust in yourself, and your capacity for real intimacy. Another major sign you might be getting used is when your boundaries are consistently ignored or negotiated down. You might say no and they push. You might need time and they pressure you. You might express discomfort and they minimize it. Someone who respects you respects your boundaries, even when it's inconvenient for them. But someone who is using you will treat your boundaries as obstacles, not as expressions of your emotional well-being. And over time, you might find yourself saying yes to things you don't want, giving more than you intended, or tolerating things that make you uncomfortable, not because you want to, but because you don't want to lose them. If any part of that feels familiar, I want you to ask yourself, when did I stop honoring my own needs? And what would it look like to reclaim them? Let's talk about one more sign. Your intuition keeps whispering that something is off. And here's the thing, intuition is not magic. It's your brain noticing patterns faster than your conscious mind can process. When you feel uneasy, it's often because your emotional intelligence has already detected inconsistency, lack of effort, lack of reciprocity, or misalignment in values, communication, or intimacy. Trust is not built through words. It's built through actions over time. If someone's actions don't align with their promises, that's not a mistake. That's information, and your intuition is trying to protect you. So as we wrap this up, I want you to reflect. Which of these signs showed up for you? Which moments in your relationship made you feel unseen, unappreciated, or unbalanced? And more importantly, what part of you is ready to choose something healthier? If this conversation resonates with you, gently tap that like button, so more people can find this kind of relationship advice and emotional support. And share your thoughts below, because your voice matters, and your experiences might help someone else feel less alone. And if you want more real talk and relationship science, make sure you subscribe to the Intimacy Doctor and turn on notifications so you never miss another video about intimacy, emotional health, communication, trust, and connection. And when you're ready, watch the next video on the screen, where we dive even deeper into the signs of unhealthy dynamics, why we ignore red flags, and how to build relationships that feel safe, mutual, and aligned with who you truly are. I'll see you there.